Thank you for joining in today. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe so you can get notifications on my weekly art lessons. Today I have a bunch of art supplies that I'm going to show you. First up there, that is a Conte crayon, and it's the burnt sienna, and then right next to it is the burnt umber, which is a little bit darker. So they're both shades of brown. And then next up, there is a fatter charcoal stick. It just doesn't have the wood around it. But I wanted to show there too. Obviously, you can use it with a little bit lighter touch or a little bit on the heavier side. It can be really, really dark. And then there is a paper stump as a blender, which is another basic drawing tool, especially if you do a lot of shading. And then that skinny little one is vine charcoal, which I'm showing there. It's definitely a lot lighter, and I was trying to show there, when you smear it with your finger, some of it will erase, which comes in handy. It's not quite as heavy as the other charcoal. And more drawing pencils. This one is, one of them is black and one of them is the gray. I think this one is my dark gray one. And it's one where you just pull the string and lift back the paper. Sometimes these could be a little annoying, but for the most part, they work pretty well. Especially if you're somebody who doesn't like to get your hands all dirty. That way you're not touching the actual charcoal. Just personal preference. And that is just white chalk, white pastel, white Conte. It's pretty much all the same. Mine was just a little dirty there. I was cleaning up on the paper. They work really nice for highlights throughout your picture. And then again, I have a different brand right here. I'll link everything down below, the brands or the closest thing that I could find. If I can't find the actual brand, I'll have links down below in the description. And another drawing pencil. I think that one might be the black one. Nice blending capability. And then this one is a China marker, which they are a bit different. These are a little bit more waxy to me. And I'll show right here in a second. When you rub them with your finger, see how it doesn't really move at all? But depending on what you're doing, it's definitely a great tool to have when you're drawing. Just if you were really trying to blend something out, and I wouldn't use that one. I would use the other charcoal. And again, they're just more Conte crayons, the same as the brown ones. Those just happen to be black. And these are all relatively cheap, depending where you are. I found mine, a lot of this stuff came from either AC Moore or Michaels. And this is just a standard drawing pencil that I use. It has a nice light appearance to it, as opposed to some with a really, really dark lead. This is definitely a lighter one. I think it was 2B it said on the pencil. Your standard drawing pencil. And then I was trying to fish out there. This is a much darker charcoal pencil, the orange one, and then obviously my little teeny tiny white one. I've had that a long time for detailed highlights. And then that's just another charcoal pencil, the orange one. That's a good brand. I have to double check on that, the orange one. But a lot of times you can find kits where it'll sell like the 2 of the charcoal pencils and a white one. Sometimes they'll even throw in a little eraser. So again, if I could find it, I'll link it below. And this is just some art hacks, art tips, whatever you want to call them. If you're new to painting, a really good idea, it doesn't matter if it's oil or acrylic, you can take an old jar, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's mayonnaise, pickles, whatever, just clean it. You can stuff an old sponge in there, fill it halfway with water, or if you're doing oil, you can use your turpenoid, and then you can use that sponge to clean the brush better inside. Or you can cut up a different type of sponge like that one and use that one. Those are some good tips. And obviously you can use those other sponges for textures throughout your painting as well. And you may or may not have a palette knife. That's what that is right there. And instead of using 100 paper towels and a lot of waste, you can use an old rag or an old washcloth. That's just some good advice there. And also, you may or may not know, you can use this, like this is a plastic egg container. And you can store some of your paints. Maybe if you have a project you didn't finish yet, you can put some paints in there and it'll hold for about a day or two. You can seal up around your edges with some tape. But those are just some little fun facts, art hacks, whatever you want to call them there. And thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to subscribe.